Do you use order of operations? Have you seen people like Beaumaths spew off drivel to you like, oh, it's necessary for making sure everyone evaluates math consistently? Well, it's all lies, fallacies, gobbledygook. We can do math consistently without ever touching order of operations. That's right, with this one crazy trick, we can completely bypass the need for BEDMAS, PEMDAS, or whatever you want to call it. Let's take PEMDAS. Now remove the MDAS. We're done. That's right, all we need is parentheses. Because parentheses give us an order, as long as we use parentheses, we can completely have a well-defined order for any expression that we want. So let's take, for example, 3 plus 4 times 5. So inside of BEDMAS, we know that we're to evaluate the multiplication first and then do the addition after. If we wanted to do the addition first, we'd have to do the 3 plus 4 in parentheses and then multiply it by 5. So this basically ensures that we do the 3 plus 4 first. But then why can't we just do that with the multiplication as well? Have something like 3 plus 4 times 5 like that. And so here the parentheses would basically dictate which one we're doing first, the addition or the multiplication. And BEDMAS doesn't really become necessary anymore, right? We can just use parentheses or brackets to basically tell us what we're doing first. And this is literally the idea. Order of operations becomes unnecessary if you use parentheses around everything to give you the order that you want. So let's do something like convert an expression from BEDMAS into something where we don't need any order of operations. It's just purely parenthetical or with parentheses. So when I say a parenthetical statement, I just mean a statement where we're using parentheses to tell us the ordering, not a convention like BEDMAS. So if I rewrite the expression here, so if we think about BEDMAS, the first thing we want to do is the exponent here. So this 3 to the power of 4, we're going to want to put that in parentheses. Next thing we have is the multiplication and the division. So those are going to also go in parentheses to ensure that they kind of happen next. And lastly, we have addition and subtraction. And since we evaluate that from left to right, we're going to want to do the subtraction first here. So this minus 2, and then the whole thing being added. We don't need parentheses around there because it's just this whole bracket statement here plus this whole bracket statement there. So this would be a statement that does the exact same thing, has the exact same order as this. It just removes our need for using BEDMAS. We would just look at this statement and we would say, okay, we're going to go to the inner brackets first. So we'll do the 3 to the power of 4. Then we have that, and then we can evaluate kind of the next parentheses, and we just kind of work our way out. So this is a way that math could have been developed if maybe people didn't come up with the idea of order of operations. They still would have had the issue of ambiguous statements, like 3 plus 4 times 5 would be ambiguous because you could either interpret it as 3 plus 4 first or 4 times 5 first, so they would need a way to order it, but a different way it could have been developed was by using parentheses purely in order to actually order our statements instead of having a convention like BEDMAS that still uses parentheses, but it maybe kind of skips some of the need for parentheses. Notice this statement up here used no parentheses, whereas this statement used a lot of parentheses. So that's obviously one disadvantage of the parenthetical statements, is that expressions get a lot more dense with notation. One thing that's interesting with the parenthetical statements is if we look at something like 3 plus 4 times 5, this is not actually going to be a well-defined expression, because parenthetical statements mean we have to know what we're evaluating first by using parentheses. But since we don't have that here, and this doesn't specify that inside of the parenthetical statement way of doing things, this isn't going to actually work. It's not a well-defined expression. We would need to use one of these two sets of parentheses there. All right, so I hope you found that interesting. It's just kind of a small little topic that has pretty much no impact on the math that we're going to be doing, but it's just kind of continuing this theme of what would order of operations look like if we define them differently. And in this case, what would it look like if we didn't even have order of operations? We were still able to basically have a mathematics that consistently evaluated these operations by heavily relying on parentheses. So hopefully this makes you appreciate parentheses all the more. And yeah, that's going to do it for me today. So you have a good one. You stay groovy, and I'll see you in that next groovy Beaumaths video.
F.O.A. Maths.